By now, you've certainly heard, seen or experienced that single-engine planes, such as the Bf-109 here, have a strange tendency to drop off to the left as you're trying to maintain level flight. While this often causes confusion among new pilots, this is quite natural. To put it simply, as Newton would have said it, for every action there is an equal or opposite reaction. This tendency in planes such as the Bf-109 to turn to the left comes out of the torque effect. So if your propeller, such as in this case, is turning clockwise, your aircraft will attempt to turn counterclockwise. Of course, there are some exceptions to this. For example, the Soviet Yak-1 has a different engine setup, meaning that the propeller is turning counterclockwise, making the aircraft wanting to go towards the right. While this phenomenon is pretty much standard in all single-engine planes, it is sometimes more or less pronounced in certain types, and once the pilot learns to get to grips with this effect, the effect is so limited that it cannot even be called an inconvenience anymore. However, for new pilots, there is sometimes a challenge to keeping your aircraft in level flight, as you will have to constantly adjust your aircraft's controls unless you are able to use your trim tabs, at which point you'll have to adjust them depending on your speed. During the Second World War, some aircraft tried to counter this effect. However, the easiest way of solving this problem is reserved to the twin-engine aircraft, such as the P-38, for which most production models featured counter-rotating propellers, which allowed each engine to cancel out the torque effect of the other, nullifying the effect torque might have on the aircraft. This solution is of course reserved to aircraft with an even number of engines, meaning that single-engine fighter pilot designers had to come up with other alternatives. While most designs completely ignored this effect, meaning that the pilot either has to use his trim tabs or his own skill to counter this effect, there were some aircraft designers that tried to counter it, and one of them was Mario Castaldi, who designed the M.C.202, a mid-war Italian fighter of credible performance but severely lacking in armament. As you will see from the footage in the background, flying the MC-202 is relatively straightforward, even though the pilot only has a pitch trim to help him operate the aircraft. Even after maneuvers, the MC-202, once put into level flight, doesn't really try to leave it. How can this be? To explain this, I will give you a top-down view of the MC-202 and give you a few seconds to see if you spot any kind of peculiarity. Have you spotted something? Let's have another look, this time from below. Here we have our MC-202 from below. I will be drawing the outlines, the ribs and the spars, and the general layout of the wing. Now I will flip that wing horizontally and apply it to the right wing. Surprise, surprise, it does not fit. The left and the right wing seem to have been built at different lengths. If you count the ribs and the panels between the ribs, from the fuselage all the way to roughly 2/3 of the wing's length, you'll be hard pressed to find any difference. But once you go to the last third of the wing, you'll see that the left wing has 9 panels and 8 ribs, while the right wing only has 8 panels and 7 ribs. The result of this is that the left wing is roughly 21 centimeters longer than the right wing. For you Imperials out there, that's just over 8 inches. Now if we go back to our middle school physics class, you might remember that wings obviously are used to generate lift. Now since the torque effect tries to pull the aircraft to the left, a longer wing on that side means that this effect is countered because the longer left wing vis-a-vis to the shorter right wing generates slightly more lift, effectively cancelling out the torque effect. While this might not be the most pretty or sophisticated way of allowing the pilot to bother about anything else but the torque effect, it is pretty much the most simplest way of handling this issue. That being said, the asymmetrical wings produce unfavorable stalling characteristics, cause additional problems during spin recovery, and difficulties in hard turns, compared to what it would likely have been had both wings been the same length. So while this setup allowed the plane to naturally overcome the torque issue, it created other problems for the pilots down the line. Yet, it is a nice feature of an aircraft that served for a nation that sadly often gets neglected when it comes to aircraft design. I hope this video proved educational and entertaining at the same time. If it did, give me an iron cross via that like button down below. Tell me what you think in the comments section and share this video with your friends. If you want to support my channel and this series further, check out my Patreon, that is linked in the description below. As always, I hope you guys have a great day, good hunting, and see you in the sky.